Today I'm going to talk about something that everyone mentally assents to. If you were to ask them if YHVH is sovereign, everyone would say that he was. Yet we don't really incorporate that into our thinking about things as they happen. This idea comes from, or the kind of concept of the video goes back to 2014 when I first did something on this topic. I'll read something from my notes for that. I think I've done a video since then, but really this idea is something that was fundamental to my understanding of YHVH, and something that really jumped out at me from reading the scriptures when they were still fairly new to me. God starts wars, God raises up terrorists, God drives ethnicities into extinction, God controls all aspects of torture, human trafficking, abuse, and every other nasty thing that goes on down here. This really bothers us. We don't want a God who gets his hands involved in evil. We'd rather have one who can be outranked by demons and confined by human choices. Well, it's too bad for us. The God who runs this universe is sovereign and uncontrollable. And what I mean by gets his hand involved in evil is a part of his creation. Not that he does evil, but a part of his creation, and a part of what he is bringing about involves evil being done. He knows that evil will be done as a part of it. But we prefer a God who is in some ways striving against Hasatan. Like Hasatan is the one who watches over evil and does all the evil things, and God is the one who does all the good things. But that's not actually accurate. What we actually have is a God who is sovereign and uses all things for the glory of his name. He will bring about a straight, a righteous, a true people through all of the evil that is done in the world, in spite of all of the evil that is done in the world. But he set all of it in motion. He knew each step that was going to unfold, and none of it is a surprise to him. None of it is the good being overcome by the evil. All of it is controlled, and he is sovereign over everything that happens. It is odd. It's kind of a bit naive for us to desire a God who actually is contending with evil, as opposed to one who created evil and is sovereign over the evil as well as the good. This is a quote from someone called Francis Chan. He said, "Can you worship a God who isn't obligated to explain his actions to you? Could it be your arrogance that makes you think God owes you an explanation? We know that his ways are higher than our ways, his thoughts than our thoughts. And yet we struggle with the idea that unless we agree with something, that it is God that has done it or has created it. Just the very idea that God created Hasatan blows the minds of some people, but we don't understand his ways. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts about things. And if we believe the word, then we believe that that is true. Then we shouldn't lose track of that. And we should acknowledge that he is sovereign over everything that happens on the earth. Epicurus, who was a Greek philosopher, I believe, put the basic misunderstanding that man has about God, that he should be able to work out what God is doing. He put it like this: is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. Is he able and not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is he both able and willing? Then whence cometh evil? Is he neither able nor willing? Then why call him God? And this is a good example of the kind of reasoning that man, his thoughts being below God's thoughts. He is able to prevent evil, but not willing. That doesn't make him malevolent. That's just kind of like a quip that this guy came up with. But this is the thinking that we need to divest ourselves of. That if God is able to do something, but he doesn't do something, then he is malevolent. That he is not willing to change his purposes in line with our own and our idea of morality. He knows what he's doing. He knows what the end point is. And that is what he's working towards. Commonly kind of referred to as his purpose. He has purposes in all things. And when we see something and we think, oh, that's not good, we're looking at it one-dimensionally. We're looking at the thing and saying, well, does this have good outcomes? Because we're looking at it one-dimensionally, we don't understand how it fits into Yehovah's purpose, and we kind of cast aspersions on Yehovah and on the things that he's doing. We say, this thing is a bad thing and it exists in the world, therefore Yehovah is bad in some way, but it's not true. Isaiah 45, 5-14 says, I am Yehovah and there is none else. There is no Elohim besides me. I gird you, though you have not known me. So that they know from the rising of the sun to its setting that there is none but me. I am Yehovah and there is none else. Forming light and creating darkness, making shalom and creating Ra. I, Yehovah, do all these. Deuteronomy 32:39 adds to that idea and says, see now that I am he, and there is no Elohim besides me. I put to death and I make alive. I've wounded and I heal, and from my hand no one delivers. Isaiah 45 continues, rain down, O heavens, from above, and let clouds rather, pour down righteousness. Let the earth open, let them bring forth salvation or deliverance, and let righteousness spring up together. I, Yehovah, have created it. Woe to him who strives with his maker, a potsherd with the potsherds of the earth. Does clay say to him who forms it, what are you making? Or your handiwork say, he has no hands. So this is the idea of that which is formed, us human beings questioning what Yahovah is doing, and calling it into question, and examining it through our one-dimensional view of things and declaring it to be wrong. Woe to him who says to his father, "What are you bringing forth?" or to the woman, "What are you laboring over?" Thus said Yahovah, the holy or set apart one of Israel and his maker. Do you ask me about my sons, what is to come, and about the work of my hands? Do you command me in how things should be? I have made the earth and created man on it. My hands have stretched out the heavens, and all their host I have commanded. I have stirred him up in righteousness, and all his ways I make straight. He builds my city and lets my exiles go, not for price nor reward, declares Yahovah of hosts. So although he creates evil, this is ultimately his purpose, to stir man up in righteousness. And he is good, and he is dependable, and we can trust him in what he's doing. No matter what unfolds, we know that we can trust Yahovah. Proverbs 16 verse 4 says, Yahovah has made all for his purpose, and also the wrong for the day of evil. So that's everything that has been made, he made it for his purpose, including evil. He created the wrong for the day of evil. Paul expounds on that thought in Romans 9. Then you should say to me, why does he still find fault? For who has resisted his counsel? So, if you are rebelling against God, he will use it for his purpose. You might delude yourself and think, oh, I'll get there eventually. But in your recognition of what is good, you are actually declaring your own works to be unrighteous by recognizing what is righteous. Paul continues, but who are you, O man, to talk back to Elohim? Shall that which is formed say to him who formed it, why have you made me like this? Does not the potter have authority over the clay, from the same lump to make one vessel for honor and another for dishonor, or the wicked for the day of evil? Both things he will use for his purpose. You have a choice in whether you will walk in his ways and trust him, even when your own senses tell you to do the opposite. You trust in what Yahovah says, and then you will be a vessel for honor. But if you choose to be wicked, it's no big deal for Yahovah. He will use your wickedness for his purpose also. And don't forget, it's him who defines what wickedness is. You might think, oh, I'm not wicked. I don't do this thing in his word. But that doesn't make me wicked. Yahovah has a different way of looking at things. Job thought to question Yahovah. He thought to say to him, why have you done this? And this was Yahovah's answer to Job. Then Yahovah answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now gird up your loins like a man, and I ask you, and you answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. Who set its measurements if you know, or who stretched the line upon it. Upon what were its foundations sunk, or who laid its cornerstone? So he challenges Job and says, part of what he says is, you don't understand what I have already done. Why would you think that you would understand what I am doing right now? Basically says to Job, you don't know what you're talking about. You've got a very simplistic way of understanding good things lead to good things, bad things lead to bad things, is how Job's friends explain things to Job. And Job actually agrees. Don't forget, a lot of the book of Job is just the thoughts of men. And later in the book, Yahovah declares them to be wrong. Job 12:23, one of those thoughts of men. Job, this is his understanding. He says, making nations great, and he destroys them, spreading out the nations, and he leads them out. Now that turns out to actually be accurate. It is just Job's understanding of things, but it does turn out to be approved by the rest of Scripture. Not everything Job said is wrong. Barely anything that Job said is wrong, but his very kind of black and white understanding of why affliction would have befallen him, and his friend's understanding is corrected by Yahovah, and he just says, listen, you don't know my work, you don't know my purpose in doing things. And that's exactly the point. Yahovah is sovereign over all of these things. We know that. We know how Satan had to come to Yahovah and ask to afflict Job. So it was part of his purpose, but we shouldn't think that we would understand his purpose in doing certain things, and we should trust him and move on regardless of that. The whole point of trusting in Yahovah is that he has a better vantage point than us to appreciate certain things from. So we just trust him. I remember when I was applying for my green card, saying to Ashley, who agrees with this, but just kind of reassuring her, well, this is whatever happens, even if it looks bad from our perspective, we trust Yahovah. If things don't go the way that we want them to, then we know that that is the best way for them to go, even though the way that we would rationalize things is to say, well, that didn't turn out good. Things turn out exactly as they are meant to, and it is that level of trust, that level of faith that Yahovah is looking for from his servants. In Romans 11:11 it says, I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Let it not be, but by their fall deliverance or salvation has come to the nations to provoke them to jealousy. So the things that we would look at and we might say, well, that's bad, Yahovah uses for good. It's all according to his purpose. That's the important thing. The last Torah portion that Charlie did was Beha'alotcha, And he spoke in that about Yehovah's sovereignty. And he said that what stuck out to him was was that Yehovah's purpose is done in all these things. When I say the last one that Charlie did, that's for me the last one that he did. It might be many weeks since then when this video goes out, but we communicated during the week, and independently I happened to be working on this and he was working on a very similar subject, looking at things from the same perspective. But have they stumbled that they should fall? No, but they have stumbled that his purpose will be done, and his purpose is that salvation will come to the nations because they fell. Having purpose that he brought us forth by the word of truth, for us to be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Again, it's all about his purpose. He purposed it and brought us forth by the word of truth. So then, my beloved brothers, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man does not work the righteousness of Elohim. Therefore, put away all filthiness and overflow of evil, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls. So, the word of Elohim, if we are to do it, achieves his purpose, because he knows the people who will do it and the people who won't do it from the beginning, and all of that is according to his purpose. And this is written to those who would do his word. There will be people who hear this who are not willing to put away all filthiness and overflow of evil, and put away wrath, and bring themselves in line with the word. But all of that is according to his purpose too. But this is written to those who would do the word of truth. You can't make yourself part of this group of people by your own will, other than by doing the word, being part of the group by virtue of the fact that you are in the group of people who heed his word. But there's nothing that you can do if you are not willing to submit to Yehovah, to make yourself someone to whom this is written. But if you are someone who will submit yourself to the word, then this is written to you. It's according to his purpose that he brought you forth to do his work. So put away wrath. Be swift to hear and slow to speak. When you're speaking to people, don't always be trying to put across what you think. Listen to what people have to say, and don't be angry with people, but have the peace that comes from knowing that he is sovereign over all things. Allow people to go astray if they're going to go astray. Obviously, try to correct them and bring them back where that is profitable. But when it is not, accept Yehovah is sovereign and he is in control of all things. You are not needed to bring a message to someone. Yehovah is capable of doing everything that he purposes. In fact, that everything that is happening around us is all according to his purpose. None of it is an accident. None of it is, not something that he purposed to come to be. All of it serves his purpose, because it can't not serve his purpose. He created all of it and brought it all to be. All that we can do is recognize when it says, receive with meekness the implanted word which is able to save your souls. Recognize his goodness and go towards him. Change yourself according to the word. That's all you can do in the midst of all of this. All of the evil that men do on the earth. All you can do is go towards him and his Torah, his teaching and direction for your life. That's all that you can do, because you are not YHVH. You're not able to change things. And if you were able to change things, then you would actually be running contrary to YHVH's purpose. Isaiah 46, 5-11 says, to whom do you liken me and compare me, and make me similar, that we should be alike? They pour gold out of the bag, and weigh silver on the scale. They hire a goldsmith, and he makes a god. They fall down, they also bow themselves. They bear it on the shoulder and carry it, set it in its place, and it stands. From its place it does not move. Though one cries out to it, it does not answer, nor save him from his distress. Remember this and show yourselves men. Turn it back, you transgressors. Remember the former events of old. I am El, and there is no one else. Elohim, and there is no one like me. No matter how much you want to devise gods according to your own imagination, declaring the end from the beginning and from of old, that which has not been done, saying, my counsel does stand, and all my delight I do, calling a bird of prey from the east, the man who executes my counsel from a distant land. Indeed, I have spoken it, I also bring it to pass. I have planned it, I also do it. So I would recommend reading Isaiah 40 through 48, and you'll see that YHVH raises up leaders who will come and challenge his people and punish his people for their iniquity. But then what he will do is he will destroy that nation also. He is sovereign over all things, and he uses all things for his purpose, even bloodthirsty leaders of the past. One such person is Nebuchadnezzar. When he gave Nebuchadnezzar the heart of a beast, it was to humble him and show him that it was him who raised him to his place. We see in Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the command of the word of the set apart or holy ones, so that the living know that the Most High is ruler in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whomever he wishes, and sets over it the lowest or the basest of men. So YHVH did this thing in Nebuchadnezzar, where he made him ruler, and then he made him have the heart of a beast, so that he was eating grass, in order to prove this very point. Nebuchadnezzar's thoughts about this, his reflections upon it, are interesting. He said, "And all the inhabitants of the earth are of no account, and he does as he wishes with the hosts of the heavens and among the inhabitants of the earth, and there is none to strike it against his hand, or to say to him, what have you done?" And that is a great truth that if we can catch a hold of, then we will understand who Yehovah actually is. Man has a habit of creating Yehovah in their own image and say, oh, God is everything good and everything evil is of the devil, which is so simplistic and naive. Is Yehovah who raises up men to do his bidding. And those men are probably deceived within themselves, or most definitely, that they are the ones who have given themselves power through their own evil. Whereas actually the reality is that it's Yehovah who has purposed whatever they are doing. Nebuchadnezzar was a really, really bad guy. If you look into the history of who he was and the things that he did, he is unsavory. And yet Yehovah raised him up, and what he showed Nebuchadnezzar is recorded in Nebuchadnezzar's own words in the Bible. Jude 9, verse 9, there being only one chapter, says, "But Michael, the chief angel, in contending with the devil, when he disputed about the body of Moshe, presumed not to bring against him a blasphemous accusation, but said, Yehovah rebuke you." And if you want to read more about that, read Zechariah chapter 3, which details seemingly that event. Ostensibly, it details that event. But he understands the way that things work. He didn't bring it against him an accusation that spoke against the devil's name, which is what blasphemy means. But he didn't bring a blasphemous accusation against the devil. He understood Yah created the devil for his purpose. So what he said to him is, Yehovah rebuke you. We must remember, when we are thinking of men who do things that to our eyes are not good, or to Yehovah's eyes objectively are not good things, we must remember that Yehovah has purposed them to do those things. They didn't catch Yehovah unawares, and he was like, oh, I didn't realize you were going to be quite this evil. Yehovah purposed it from the beginning, and our approach to those people should be, Yehovah rebuke you. If Yehovah is going to, then he rebuke you, not me. I don't think to speak out against people. My attitude is, I will get on with what is my responsibility. I will do good in the world. I will shine the light, and the darkness is reproved by the light that I shine. And all of the rest of it I leave to Yehovah. Psalm 115 verse 3 says, but our Elohim is in the heavens. Whatever pleased him, he has done. And what pleases him, what his purpose is, may be confusing to us, but we are like Job. Where were we when Yehovah created the heavens and the earth? What understanding do we have? The understanding that we have of good and evil comes from Yehovah's word. It's all dependent upon what he purposed, and our role is to recognize the good and to do the good and to shine the light, and not to reprove the darkness and the evil or have any involvement with it whatsoever. Ecclesiastes 7 says, "See the work of Elohim, for who is able to make straight what he has made crooked? Be glad in the day of prosperity, but in the evil day take note that Elohim has also appointed the one as well as the other." So he has appointed the day of prosperity, and it's good for us to be glad of that. But he has also appointed the day of evil. He's appointed both of them. These are the words of Solomon. This is some of the wisdom that was given to him by Elohim. But just like Job, a lot of what Solomon writes are just his own thoughts. And if you read Ecclesiastes, he weaves through the book and he changes his opinion on some things. But having a certain opinion about them leads him to the revelation of more wisdom on the subject. But this is certainly true. Elohim has appointed the good as well as the bad, but we shouldn't forget that he has appointed the bad, and think things in much more simplistic terms, like God is only involved in the good and the devil is involved in the bad. That is not accurately who Yehovah is. The earth belongs to Yehovah and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell in it, all of it, everything that has happened, everything that will come to be, all of it belongs to Yehovah, and all of it is according to his purpose. Hannah's reflections in the book of Samuel are accurate as to who Yehovah is from her prayer. Yehovah puts to death and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. Yehovah makes poor and makes rich. He brings low and lifts up. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the dunghill to sit with princes and make them inherit a throne of esteem or glory. For the supports of the earth belong to Yehovah, and he has set the world upon them. He guards the feet of his kind ones, his chassid, but the wrong are silent in darkness, for man has not become mighty by strength. Those who oppose Yehovah are shattered. From the heavens he thunders against them. Yehovah judges the ends of the earth and gives strength to his king and exalts the horn of his anointed. So we might think sometimes that we can amass to ourselves security, but Yehovah is sovereign over the things in our life. We could think that we've made ourselves safe in some way, safe from harm, but if Yehovah purposes to do harm to us, then nothing can save us from that. Romans 8:28, and we know that all matters work for good to those who love Elohim, to those who are called, again, according to his purpose. those who are called according to his purpose are those who will respond to his word. So again, you can't make yourself a part of this group by doing anything other than submitting to Yahovah. And if you submit to him, then you are doing his purpose, and all matters will work together for good for you. Revelation 6, 10 to 11 is quite a stark realization. They cried with a loud voice, saying, "How long, O Master, set apart, or holy and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth?" These are the souls under the altar, the martyrs, those who have given their life for Yahovah. In my view, those who won't worship the image of the beast. And there was given to each one a white robe. And they were told that they should rest a little while longer, until both the number of their fellow servants and their brothers who would be killed as they were completed. So Yahovah, his purpose is that those who follow him and follow his word should be killed as these souls were killed. And that might be difficult for us to wrap our heads around. We might think, well, it's terrible for Yahovah's people to be killed. But Yahovah says, no, there's more that need to be killed for my purpose to be achieved. We should really grapple with and reckon with verses like this, because they completely blow apart our paradigm of who Yahovah is, what good is. But according to Yahovah, all things work together for good for these people. And I'm sure when we are living in the kingdom, that we will see that all things have worked together for good, even though there were transitory moments of suffering leading up to that point. 2 Chronicles 25-6 says, "And Yehoshaphat stood in the assembly of Yehudah and Jerusalem in the house of Yahovah in front of the new courtyard, and said, O Yahovah, Elohim of our fathers, are you not Elohim in the heavens? And do you not rule over all the kingdoms of the nations? And in your hand is there not power and might, so that no one is able to stand against you?" We need to make that reckoning a part of our thinking when we're thinking about events that happen in our lives or events that happen globally. We should think, well, does not Yahovah rule over all the kingdoms of men? Is anyone able to stand against him? All of this is happening according to his purpose, and we can take great comfort in that. 2 Chronicles 25 details this. And he hired 100,000 mighty brave ones from Israel for 100 talents of silver. It's impossible to know a precise weight of silver, but you're talking in the order of tons of silver. But a man of Elohim came to him, saying, O king, do not let the army of Israel go with you, For Yehovah is not with Israel, and with all the children of Ephraim. Even if you go and are strong in battle, Elohim would make you fall before the enemy, for Elohim has power to help and to overthrow. And Amityahu said to the man of Elohim, well, what do we do about the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel? I've given them tons of silver. What do we do about the tons of silver that I've spent? And the man of Elohim answered, Yehovah has more to give you than this. Don't worry about what you've spent in service of Yehovah. Yehovah has more to give you than that. So Amityahu dismissed the army that had come to him from Ephraim to go back home, and they were greatly enraged against Judah or Yehudah, and they returned home in a rage. So something we can learn from this is, don't worry if you've spent money. Yehovah has more to give you than that. All these things are in Yehovah's remit. He is sovereign over all of them. If he's given you the money to expend on whatever it was at first, then he can give you more money than that. Also, we can learn that it doesn't matter if people are angry with us when we are following Yehovah's word. Yehovah has purposed that also. He's taken it into account. All that should concern us is that we do his word. It's interesting that it says, even if you're strong in battle, you will fall before the enemy. Even if you fight as well as you can fight, and you put all your power and all your strength into doing it, Yehovah is the one who is sovereign. Yehovah is the one who will bring the outcome that Yehovah wants. There's nothing that we can do to fight against Yehovah. Psalm 33, 16-19 says, the king is not saved by the multitude of an army. A mighty man is not delivered by great strength. A horse is a vain means of safety. Neither does it rescue any by its great power. See, the eye of Yehovah is on those fearing him, on those waiting for his kindness, to deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive during scarcity of food. All those things that we might think to gather to ourselves to keep us safe are worthless before Yehovah. He is able to keep us safe, and he is able to put us to death if he so wishes. We can't strive against that. If he is against us when we go out to battle, then it doesn't matter how well we fight or how many horses we have. If he's not with us, then we will fall. 1 Chronicles 29, 10-12. I'll finish with the words of David. David blessed Yehovah before all the assembly and said, blessed are you, Yehovah, Elohim of Israel, our Father forever and ever. Yours, O Yehovah, is the greatness, the power, and the comeliness, the preeminence, and the excellency, because of all that is in the heavens and in the earth. Yours is the kingdom, O Yehovah, and you are exalted or glorified as head above all. And the riches and the esteem or glory come from your presence, and you rule over all. And in your hand is power and might, and in your hand to make great and to give strength to all. And we must remember that. We must remember our place and not think that we are able to do things which ultimately lie with Yahovah. He is sovereign over all. All we can hope to do is to submit ourselves to him and then trust in him. Trust in his name. Trust in his kindness. Why would we seek to do those things for ourselves when Yahovah is much more able to do those things? Run to Yahovah. Make him your shield and your refuge. Do his word. That's your part in everything that will unfold. You can't change the events that are going to unfold according to your own will. You can't make yourself safe from Yahovah. All you can do is look to him and trust in him. Yahovah willing, I'll see you next week.